All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of Saber Sims DFS office hours. It is Saturday, February 10th of 2024. This is our first Saturday office hours, so hopefully you guys can catch the show here. I don't really know how it's going to go, but excited to bring you guys another day of office hours here. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at Saber Sim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions. You get your questions in one of three ways. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team. So can't say enough good things about the Discord. But with that said, looking ahead here, we have a we have four NBA slates today. There's an early, there's a main, there's a turbo, there's night. We have an early NHL. We have a main slate NHL. We have a 14-fight MMA card, and then we have the Super Bowl on Sunday. So ton of DFS action coming at you today through to the weekend here. If you're not signed up with us and want to check us out, we have a 5-day free trial. No strings attached. You could use the link in the description to start your free trial today, get access to all of those sports I just mentioned. But with that said, going to get the app pulled up here. We do have a couple questions to get us started. So looks like the first question came in earlier this morning. Thank you for that question. And question says, Sims question, using Flashback, the winning lineups are in the 500 to 1,000 range. None of the 1 to 500 are coming up as winning. Must be doing something in setup, not necessarily for show, unless you want to use it. So I'm not 100% sure what you mean by in the 500 to 1,000 range. Like the 500 to 1,000 range of what would kind of be my question. Maybe you're talking about like sim ROI. So if we like go back to, yesterday for like NBA, that's kind of what I would be guessing that like you're talking about here. So like if we go, so this is how you use Contest Flashback, right? You go to the contest tab, you go to all contests. You could do the contest that you played if you have a CSV as well. And then say I want to go look at the flagship, right? So I'm going to click on the contest. It's going to get this green box around it. And then from here, the lineups will load. So let me just close the contest tab. So boom, these are all the lineups. It's showing, the highest lineup, followed by second, followed by third. So it sounds like we're saying it's like, hey, when I sort by sim ROI here, the actual winning lineup was like further down here. So I'm going to let this load real quick. It can take a minute to load, when it's loading, tens of thousands of entries and trying to sort them all. So be a little patient with it. So right now it's sorting. I had it inversely sorted by sim ROI. So like lowest to highest. And then I switched it from highest to lowest. So just make sure that you're being aware of which direction these arrows are pointing. So it looks like the highest sim ROI, 456, and then less and less. So when we look at the top actual rank, right? I think the sim ROI of the winner was like in the 60%. So I think that's probably what you're talking about here. One thing that's like really hard to understand is like, hey, which lineup is going to win on any given day, right? I mean, this question kind of comes up like with your pool, like, hey, lineup 150 was the highest in my pool. How do I get that in my top 20 lineups? And if we knew, we would obviously put that lineup in the top, right? But what we do here is we run 100,000 simulations in our contest sims, and then see which lineups graded out the best in the sim, right? And the reason for that, I like to make like a poker analogy, is if you're familiar with like No Limit Texas Hold'em, 2-7 is the worst hand in poker, right? But so on average, that lineup is going to lose more money than it wins. But that doesn't mean that the lineup, the hand is never going to win money. So rather than try and guess, hey, when is this bad hand going to win? It's better to just not play that hand and be comfortable with this long-term approach of like, hey, I know if I play this hand enough times, I'm going to lose money. Therefore, I shouldn't play it. So that's kind of the approach here. And what I would say like is one of the most useful things in Contest Flashback, which if you want to see, some pros break down Contest Flashback strategy, you could do that in our YouTube playlist, reviewing past slates with Contest Flashback. We have videos all NFL season. I did a basketball video with Max Steinberg at the beginning of the season. And then I did an NHL strategy Contest Flashback video with Scott at the beginning of the NHL season. So we have multiple sports in here. We'll probably do one as like baseball comes, etc. here. But these are good videos to give you ideas about how to think about Contest Flashback, what you're looking for in a review, assumptions, and things you can come away with at the end of your review. So check out those videos. But I think that, one of the best things is like to come in here into the users tab, really, because by doing this, you're looking at a portfolio of lineups, right? You're looking at, hey, when somebody submitted 150, this is probably going to end up being a mix of positive sim ROI, negative sim ROI, but their portfolio as a whole, how did it grade out, right? And then from there, I would, sort by maxers. Just generally, people maxing the contest are probably sharper. And then so you can right click on the entries, filter for the max, and then sort by sim ROI. And then maybe you spend some time looking at some of these top players, right? So OCDOBV is Kurt in our Discord, a power user. And, you want to go look at like Kurt's lineups and say, hey, what do his stacks look like? What players did he roster? Did I roster similar players? And, how did that work out for me, right? And maybe, you look at what he did compared to what you did. Maybe you find some things like, interesting, he got to a lot of Kyle Kuzma. Like, was that on purpose? Was that on accident? And just, try and dissect some of these pros portfolios, right? So we do have another really good video related to that. It is called Study DFS Like a Pro, Review Your Results and Study the Pros Contest Flashback Walkthrough. I will drop this here in the YouTube chat so you guys can check that out. But yeah, I mean, basically trying to suggest you take like this model, mimic, and master approach. It's widely used, I think, like in business and in other forms of life, where you study somebody who is where you want to be, and you mimic them, and you try and see if you can do what they did to repeat their success, and you kind of go from there. So those are my thoughts, man. Let me know if you have any questions. Looks like you're still here, so appreciate it. Appreciate you. And we're gonna hit this next question here from Henry. Oh, this is a similar question. Henry said, any tips on how to use Contest Flashback with NBA when there were lots of late swaps? So really, late swaps shouldn't affect the usability of Flashback. So the way that Contest Flashback works, when we run our post-contest sims after the slate is over, we're taking the actual lineups from the contest at the end of the night, and then we're running them through our post-contest sim and then returning all of the sim metrics. So even if, lineups are changing throughout the night, that's completely fine. You basically want to see like, hey, at the end of the night, where did everybody end up? And you could even look at some of those late swaps, right? Like there was a week where there was like a late scratch in NFL, and like some running back became huge value in like very, very close to the afternoon lock. And that player came in, very low ownership, like 5% or something like that. And then you went and looked at some of the pros, and they just got to like a ton of that player, like as much as they possibly could. But when you went and looked at like some of the lower stakes contests, that player was like way, way, way low owned. So we were, I remember chopping it up with Max, talking about the differences between like low stakes, high stakes, late swap strategy, how much people are paying attention. And so like, I think that those are good opportunities. Like, hey, this news broke. Let's go and look at how players in the $15 flagship handled it. And then let's go and look at how players playing the, what's a good one here? The $1.20 max handled it, right? And then see some of those disparities. So like we always talk about this idea of like, hey, these lower stakes contests are a little bit softer. Some of those things can like kind of prove that to you, where people that are, playing these bigger contests, wagering more money, or just paying attention more. And that can give you some insight into why these contests are a little bit softer. All right. Good question there. Got one more here from D. Wibbins. Question says, any tips on low stakes satellites for tickets? If there's no contest sim, would I want to pick the next available? And when sorting, should I look for highest win percent or still risk adjusted ROI? Good question. Honestly, I kind of prefer to use win rate here. Some of these satellites, like even the satellites where they pay, the top like 5 places, you're probably not optimizing for that outcome anyways. Like second place doesn't mean very much, third place doesn't mean very much. So I think using win rate is like totally fine for satellites here. Truth be told that, I'm not doing anything like special with like the contest sims for them. Normally what I'll do is just like, because I mean, you might be playing for like a $60 qualifier ticket or like the $25, fantasy basketball millionaire tickets, which they were just like running a ton of satellites for those. I'm just using the contest sim from like one of my single entries and just, letting that account for it. I know it's like not optimal, but when you're playing like, 30 plus contests a night, it's like pretty hard to do all of them. So I'm not doing anything super special. I think it's interesting idea to run like a third build for your satellites. So like you have all your single entries and 3 maxes, your 20 maxes and 150 maxes, and then you have like a third build for all of your satellites. And then maybe you're using some type of satellite contest sim, because there are some in the lobby. Like I see the qualifier here. Let's see if there's any more. They have the Mega Millionaire, so like the $42. They have the $15, like a $5 entry. So they definitely have like some. Maybe you use one of these. Like one of these contest sims is going to be closer than like a single entry, right? So you could do that, right? Set up a contest sim for one of these satellites and then just use it because it's like the next closest thing. So I think that's an okay strategy too. But definitely think you could do some things there to like kind of help yourself out. I kind of like the idea of like a third satellite build or maybe just like that specific satellite contest sim, and then you just work it into the same build and just make sure that you have that one contest sim that's for satellites, and then you end up sorting by that one and filling appropriately. I would probably do it last just because the GPP, prizes for first place are going to be a lot higher than those satellites. So I just make sure to, if you're working it in, work it in last. But definitely some interesting things you could do there. The kind of more we talk about it, I don't feel like this is a topic that we've spent a ton of time talking about here in the past. So happy to chop it up. Just giving you guys my ideas off the cuff here. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts or pushback. I'm always open to, starting a conversation around some of these topics. But with that said, it looks like we're all caught up on questions here in the Office Hours channel and the YouTube chat. This is our first Saturday show, so I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go, but looks like we got some people joining here and we got some questions. So appreciate you guys. Always trying to bring you guys more content and, more ability to ask questions and get help from our team to help you guys be better DFS players. One quick announcement before I go, our show is moving Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern starting this Monday. So be on the lookout for that change here. But aside from that, I'm going to get out of here, everybody. So until Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, take care. Good luck. I'll see you all. Thanks. Bye.